She was already there when I pulled up. The woman everyone in the neighborhood knew as the HOA queen. Karen stood by my front gate, holding papers in her hand like she owned the place. A shiny little sign leaned against her car, "For sale, open house today." My cabin. My land. And she was inviting strangers to walk through it like it was hers. When she saw me, her fake smile cracked. "Oh, good. You showed up just in time. A realtor will be here any minute. We're selling this dump." I felt my chest burn. Selling? That's funny, I said, sliding my key into the lock on the gate. Click. I didn't push it open. I locked it. Hard. Then I pulled out my own hand-painted board from the truck bed and planted it in the dirt where everyone could see, "Private property. No trespassing." Her face dropped. "You can't do that," she snapped, yanking at the gate. "This property is part of the HOA. I already told them you're in violation. I have the right to." "You don't have the right to touch this gate," I cut her off. My voice was calm, but my hands were steady. The kind of steady I hadn't lost since the service. "This land doesn't belong to your little committee." She froze for a second, like she wasn't sure what to say. Then her eyes narrowed. "If you don't step aside, I'll call the cops right now and tell them you're threatening me." I almost laughed. "Almost." "Call them," I said, leaning against the fence. "Let's see whose name is really on this deed." She wasn't expecting that. For the first time, her confidence cracked. But she still pulled out her phone, still started dialing. And that's when I saw headlights coming down the dirt road. Her realtor had arrived. A man in a suit stepped out, clipboard in hand, already smiling like he was about to make a deal. Karen waved at him like nothing was wrong. "Don't worry, everything's under control," she said sweetly, then shot me a glare. But I didn't move. The gate stayed locked. My sign stood tall. And as the realtor walked closer, I already knew things were about to get ugly. The realtor slowed down when he noticed the tension. His smile faded as his eyes went from Karen's fake confidence to my locked gate and the bold "No trespassing" sign. "Ah, is there a problem here?" he asked, clutching his clipboard a little tighter. Karen rushed to him before I could answer. "No problem at all," she lied, her voice suddenly sweet like sugar. "This man is just confused. He doesn't actually own this cabin. The HOA does. I already filed the paperwork." My blood boiled, but I didn't move. I wanted her to keep talking, to dig her own grave. The realtor blinked, glancing at me. "Wait. So you're saying this isn't his property?" "That's exactly what I'm saying," Karen smirked, tugging at the realtor's arm like she was pulling him to her side. "He's been squatting here for months. I already notified the sheriff's office. This land is about to be listed. You can go ahead and take photos." That was it. She'd crossed the line. I reached into my back pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper, sealed in a protective sleeve. Without a word, I held it up against the gate for the realtor to see. He leaned forward, squinting at the county seal and my name in bold print. His eyebrows shot up. "This is the official deed." He looked back at Karen, confused. "It says he owns the land." Her smile cracked, but she didn't back down. "That's fake," she snapped, her voice sharper now. "He probably printed it off the internet. Don't fall for it. I'm the HOA president, and I'm telling you this property is being sold." I stepped closer to the gate, my eyes locked on hers. My voice was low, steady. "Karen, the only thing being sold today is your lie." The realtor's face went pale. He stepped back, clearly uncomfortable. Karen's phone buzzed in her hand. And she quickly answered it, putting it on speaker. "Ma'am, this is Officer Daniels. We received your call about a trespasser at your property. We're en route." Her smirk returned instantly. She looked at me like she'd already won. "Hear that?" she said softly, so only I could catch the venom in her tone. "The cops are on their way. Let's see you talk your way out of this one." But what she didn't know was that I already had my own call placed 15 minutes earlier. And the officers coming down that dirt road weren't the ones she thought. Gravel crunched under tires. And 2 black and white cruisers rolled up the dirt road almost in sync. Karen straightened her back like a queen waiting for her guards. The realtor looked more nervous than ever, clutching his clipboard to his chest. Karen waved at the first car. "Officers. Over here." She shouted, her voice dripping with triumph. "That man is trespassing on HOA property. He locked me out of my own gate." The first pair of men stepped out, but something was off. Their uniforms looked cheap. Wrong patches, mismatched belts. And no body cams. They didn't even park properly, just angled their cars like amateurs. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy smirking at me. "Arrest him," she barked. "He's been threatening me all morning." The taller one gave me a cold stare and started toward the gate. "Sir, step away from the property. You're under arrest for trespassing." The realtor's jaw dropped. "Wait, what?" "He has the deed." "I saw it." "Quiet," the fake cop snapped, brushing him aside. Karen folded her arms, already gloating. "Told you," she whispered. But then, red and blue flashed again. Another cruiser turned down the dirt road. This one drove with precision, smooth and sharp. When the doors opened, 2 real deputies stepped out, radios buzzing. Badges shining in the headlights. Karen froze. "What? What's going on?" she stammered, looking between the 2 sets of uniforms. The fake officers exchanged a glance, stiff as boards. The lead deputy, a woman with a stone face, called out immediately, "Identify yourselves. Department and badge number." Silence. Karen looked panicked now. "Well, go on. Arrest him already." The fake cop muttered something under his breath. But before he could move, the real deputy's hand was on her weapon. "Hands where I can see them. Now." The tension snapped like a whip. The realtor backed away fast. Karen's face went pale. Her mouth hanging open as she finally realized she'd been exposed. I leaned casually on the locked gate, my voice low but cutting through the chaos. "Karen, those aren't cops. They're your friends, aren't they?" Her lips trembled, but she didn't answer. And just then, the second deputy pulled something out of his pocket. "We already got the call," he said firmly. "This landowner reported attempted fraud, harassment, and impersonation of law enforcement. And guess what? It all matches you." Karen spun toward me, eyes wide with disbelief. You set me up." I didn't even blink. "No, Karen," I said, my voice calm. "You set yourself up the second you touched my gate." The Real deputies moved fast. One of them pulled the realtor aside, making sure he was safe, while the other barked at the 2 fake cops. "Badges. Now." The taller fake officer hesitated, then slowly reached for his belt like he was about to comply. But instead, his hand twitched toward a baton. In an instant, the female deputy had her gun drawn, her voice cutting like steel. "Don't even think about it. Drop it. Hands in the air." The man froze, his jaw tightening. The second fake cop raised his palms nervously, stammering, "This is all a misunderstanding." "Save it," the deputy snapped. Karen, however, wasn't done. She rushed forward, screaming at the deputies like she owned them. "You can't listen to him. He's a squatter. This is my neighborhood, and those men are here under my authority." The realtor's face twisted in shock. "Authority? You mean you brought them here?" Her mouth opened, then slammed shut. But it was too late. The deputies turned their attention on her. The female officer stepped closer. "Ma'am, are you admitting you hired these men to impersonate police?" Karen's eyes darted, desperate. Then she pointed straight at me. "No. He paid them. He's trying to frame me." I didn't even react. I just pulled my phone from my pocket and tapped the screen. The sound of a video began to play, clear audio of Karen earlier, bragging on a call, If he doesn't move, I'll bring my own cops. He'll fold fast when they show up. Her face drained of color. The deputies didn't hesitate. One of them grabbed her wrists, snapping cold metal cuffs around them. Karen shrieked, "You can't do this to me. I'm the HOA president." The female deputy's voice was flat. "You're under arrest for filing a false report, harassment, and conspiracy to impersonate law enforcement." The fake cops were shoved against their cruiser, cuffed just as quick. The realtor stood there, stunned, shaking his head. I've never seen anything like this. She told me she had every right. I finally stepped forward, unlocking the gate slowly. My voice carried. Low but sharp, Karen thought she could sell what wasn't hers. Thought she could scare me off my own land. But she forgot one thing. I paused, looking her dead in the eye as she thrashed in cuffs. "You don't mess with a man who's fought for what he owns." Karen wasn't the type to go down quietly. Even cuffed, she thrashed and screamed, spitting words like venom. "You don't understand. This land is illegal. It was never supposed to be his. I have proof." The deputies shoved her toward their cruiser. But she twisted her body hard enough to make one of them lose grip for a split second. In that moment, she turned to the realtor. "Check my car. The documents are in there, HOA records, tax violations, everything. He's a fraud." The realtor froze, his eyes flicking toward her shiny black SUV parked just a few feet away. For a second, doubt flickered in his expression. "Wait, is that true?" he asked carefully. I didn't flinch. "Open it," I said calmly. Karen's face lit up with a sick kind of hope. "Yes. Do it. Open the glove box. You'll see the truth." One of the deputies sighed, clearly annoyed but professional enough to check. She opened the passenger side door, leaned in, and pulled out a thick folder stuffed with papers. She flipped through quickly, then frowned. "Looks like HOA letters, violation notices, and some county forms." Karen's smile returned, her voice sharp. "See? He doesn't belong here. He forged the deed." The deputy kept flipping, her brows pulling tighter, until her eyes froze on something tucked in the middle. Slowly, she slid out a document with an official seal. But it wasn't against me. It was for her. She read it out loud: "Cease and desist order. Issued against Karen Delaney. Prohibiting unauthorized HOA enforcement, trespassing on private property, and harassment of landowners." The silence that followed was heavy. Karen's jaw dropped open, her whole body trembling. That's not real. That's not." The deputy held it up so everyone could see. "It's signed by the county judge. Effective 3 months ago." She turned her cold stare on Karen. "Looks like you've been breaking the law every time you stepped foot on his land." The realtor stepped back, shaking his head in disbelief. So all of this was her scam? Karen's screams turned shrill. "No. This land doesn't belong to him. He doesn't deserve it. People like him don't belong here." Her words echoed ugly in the night, hanging heavy in the air. And that's when the younger deputy looked at me carefully, lowering his voice. "Sir, maybe now's the time you tell them who you really are." Karen whipped her head toward me, eyes wide with panic. "No. No, no, don't you dare." I stepped forward slowly, meeting every stare, the deputies, the realtor, even Karen's wild gaze. And in that pause, I could feel the whole road waiting for my answer. I let the silence hang for a moment, my hand resting on the gate as the night air pressed down heavy. Karen shook her head violently, almost like she could stop the words from coming. "Don't listen to him. He's lying. He's nothing but a squatter." But I finally spoke, my voice steady, low enough that it cut sharper than shouting. "I'm a veteran. 20 years serving this country. Special operations. The only reason I even came back to this cabin was because it's the last piece of land my father left me before he passed." The realtor's mouth parted, his eyes softening with a mix of shame and respect. One of the deputies gave me a slow nod. "Karen, however, just lost it. Liar. She shrieked, jerking in her cuffs so hard the deputy had to grip her arm tighter. If you were really military, you'd have proof. You think waving a fake deed makes you someone? You don't belong here, you don't. I reached back into my truck, pulled out a locked metal case, and placed it gently on the hood. The snap of the latch's opening echoed in the tense air. Inside was a folded American flag, the kind only given at a veteran's funeral, along with my discharge papers and medals lined neatly in velvet. The deputy stared. The realtor's throat bobbed as he swallowed hard. Karen stumbled back, her face twisting in pure disbelief. No, no, this isn't real. You're making this up. This can't be. I closed the case with a quiet click. I fought overseas so people back home wouldn't have to fight for what's theirs. And I'll be damned if I let you take my family's land because you like playing queen of the neighborhood. Her whole act shattered. The wild smirk was gone. The words died in her throat. She just shook her head, trembling, whispering, "No. This isn't how it's supposed to go." The younger deputy looked down at her with disgust. "Ma'am, you really picked the wrong man to mess with." The realtor finally spoke. His voice barely above a whisper but filled with guilt. I almost believed you. I almost helped you steal from him." He turned to me, his eyes full of regret. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." Karen let out a scream, raw and broken. Like her last thread of control had snapped. "This isn't over. I'll ruin you. You'll see." But the deputies were already shoving her toward the cruiser. Her voice muffled as the door slammed shut. And as the fake cops sat cuffed on the dirt, heads hung low, I could feel it wasn't done yet. Not with Karen. Not with someone like her. Because people who think they own everything always come back for one last swing. Karen thrashed in the back of the cruiser, her voice muffled by the glass. The deputies tried to ignore her. But even through the door you could hear the venom. "You'll regret this. I'll sue every one of you. I'll burn this place down before he keeps it." The younger deputy glanced at me. "She's not gonna quit easy." I shook my head slowly. "No, she's not." Just then, the realtor walked over. Still pale. Still clutching the clipboard like it was the only thing keeping him upright. "Sir, I want you to know. I'll testify. I'll make sure everyone knows what she tried to do here." I studied him for a beat, then nodded. "Good. Because people like her thrive when everyone stays quiet." The female deputy came back from Karen's SUV, holding another folder she dug out from under the seat. "You're gonna want to see this," she said, opening it wide. Inside were letters, dozens of them, threats Karen had sent to other homeowners. Fake fines, bogus, violation fees. She wasn't just after me. She'd been running a scam on the entire neighborhood. The younger deputy let out a low whistle. "This woman's going away for a long time." For the first time that night, I felt the weight in my chest ease. Not gone, but lighter. They loaded the fake cops into another cruiser. The realtor gave me one last nod, then walked off down the dirt road, shame still hanging on his shoulders. I stayed behind a moment longer, standing by the locked gate with my sign. "Private property, no trespassing," glowing in the deputy's headlights. My father's land. My family's land. Still mine. As the cruisers pulled away, Karen's screaming faded into the distance until the night went quiet again. Just the wind in the pines. Just the dirt road. I whispered it to myself, not for her, not for the deputies, just for me. I didn't fight for this country to be told I can't park in my own driveway. And with that, I pushed open my gate, walked inside, and locked it behind me for good.